back to Highbridge, New Jersey, population 2,000 people. I was a middle child of 5, working class town. Sadly, my mother was an alcoholic and my father was a workaholic, better known as an entrepreneur now. I still had this dream about being a police officer. I had all these mentors, and my uncle was a cop and my sister married a cop, but I had no path to get there. We are in every retail store in America almost, 6,000 7-Elevens, almost every grocery store in 77 countries. Wow. And continuing to grow, and that's only with 3 lines right now. That whole servant leader thing really resonated with me, and I started a Bodyguard business, and within a short order, because of the relationships I was establishing,
yes,
I'm taking care of people like, Arnold, Stallone, Kim, Chloe, Madonna. The list kept going on. I tell people this, that are on this journey to make $1 million brands or even $1 billion brands, you need 1,000 screaming fans.
We spoke about making more deposits than withdrawals. And I really want to speak about that because I think that's really important. We're living in an instant gratification culture where people are about what can I get.
In the street, gonna take on the world someday. You got blood on your face, you big disgrace, waving your banner all over the place.
Some advice I could give to some young entrepreneurs or new entrepreneurs that want to start and step off the curb and start their own business is have a purpose in your personal life with your goals. Have purpose in your business. Sometimes people put pleasure before purpose. That doesn't mean you can't have pleasure, but make purpose first.
Someday you got mud on your face, you big disgrace, somebody better put you back.
It was like 7 years into the journey, and Atkins Nutrition acquired us for $1 billion cash.
Man shouting in the street.
There's only been 1,100 billion-dollar brands in the world, and very few. When they sell, it's usually stocks and options, and
yes,
this was strictly a cash deal. But the cool thing was, we sold Quest and started Legendary the next day. Internally, we call Legendary Quest 2.0.
People these days, it's all, I'm the secretary, I'm not going to reach the extra mile, or I'm not going to do this. But the value that you will actually get when you are putting that into a company or putting it into a brand, like claiming it as your own.
With our customer experience, not our competition. Too many people in business worry about what the competition's doing. Oh, that guy's selling this. I never looked in my rearview mirror. People like you, they're going to listen. If they trust you, they're going to buy. But if you transform their lives, they're going to go to the highest mountaintop and scream your name.
With your eyes, gonna make you some peace someday. You got mud on your face, you big disgrace. Somebody better put you back.
Welcome to another episode of the $1 Million Branders podcast. Today we have a very special guest. It's someone who is literally changing lives globally, not just through what he's done from a work perspective, but his attitude, his drive. Such a good-hearted person. So grateful to have him on the show. Bruce Cardenas. Hi, Bruce. I'm going to read his intro, but I feel like I'm more excited to read your book. So Bruce Cardenas' journey spans from the United States Marine Corps to the LAPD, where he was awarded the highest award, the Police Medal for Bravery. He still serves as a Level 1 reserve in the LA County Sheriff's Department. Bruce then embarked on his entrepreneurial path by founding a high-level personal protection business, protecting some of the biggest names in entertainment and business over the past 30 years, all while serving as a police officer. A serendipitous meeting with the founders of Quest Nutrition led Bruce to become an entrepreneur within the startup, ultimately rising to chief communications officer. Bruce played an instrumental role in the billion-dollar sale of Quest Nutrition, and his journey now continues with Legendary Foods, where he leverages his expertise and passion. Legendary is on track to be another billion-dollar brand. I know this. The product is so good. Committed to giving back, Bruce mentors emerging entrepreneurs, is an investor, and actively supports several charities, including the Midnight Mission, Toys for Tots, and Trina's Kids. Welcome to the podcast, Bruce.
Thank you. Good morning.
And it's been so cool hanging out with you. I know we've had a few things that we've done. You took me to Gold's Gym. You come from the fitness background. You are super disciplined. Not only were you a police officer, you were in the Marine Corps. You've done incredible things, built billion-dollar brands and continue to. And I admire your work ethic. I admire who you are as a person. But I know we have limited time, so I really want you to speak about you. How did you get started? How did this journey come about? And right back to mini Bruce.
Absolutely, yeah. It's long before I figured out bringing value to other people with no expectations in return, because that's kind of my business philosophy now. I go back to Highbridge, New Jersey, population 2,000 people. I was a middle child of 5, working class town. Sadly, my mother was an alcoholic and my father was a workaholic, better known as an entrepreneur now. And I was kept back in 4th grade and I failed my final exam to get out of high school, so I had to go to summer school. But all that while, I still had this dream about being a police officer. I had all these mentors, and my uncle was a cop, and my sister married a cop, but I had no path to get there. The only saving grace was my father taught me work ethic early on. Because he didn't have a lot of money, 5 kids. We just got by, he was an electrical contractor. So he taught me work ethic, and I remember one very clear, distinct moment, which at the 16 years old I didn't appreciate, but I was on a construction site with him. He asked me to come work for him for cash on a Saturday. And he gave me some tasks, and I was doing it, and he said, come find me when you're done. And I walked around the corner, and my father was digging a ditch. And I looked at him and said, Dad, you own the company. Why are you digging the ditch? And he said, good point, Bruce. And he handed me the shovel, and it said, finish by noon.
Yes.
And I remember I finished the ditch. I was kind of begrudgingly saying bad things about him under my breath at 16, you know, being a punky kid. And we got in his truck on the way home, and he said, I need you to understand something, and I need you to listen to me. I own the company. Why I had 9 guys doing other jobs, I could have pulled someone off, but I own the company. The ditch needed to be dug, just like if a ladder needed to be climbed. I need to do anything and everything. I've cleaned the toilets in our office, Bruce. So at 16, it didn't resonate with me. But when I got older, it really became one of my core fundamental values, because working a company, running a company, you have to do everything. And if you have to lead by example, that's exactly what he did. And that's why those employees stayed with him forever, because he led by example. He didn't just tell people what to do. He did it and showed them. So that was a key takeaway. But honestly, going back to that dream about being a police officer, it never faded. But when I got out of high school, I realized, okay, I have nowhere to get there. So I used to do ride-alongs with the police department. It was a 5-man department. That was my dream, to join this 5-man department. That would have been life.
You still have your uniform.
Yeah. So they gave me a uniform. I did ride-alongs. And one day I asked the chief, I said, hey, what do I need to do to join the department? I'm out of high school. And in his own kind words, but this is what I heard, he said, you're young, you're dumb, and you're immature. But if you go in the Marine Corps, as I did when I was 18, I'll hire you when you get out. I left still really stressed out about I can't leave Highbridge. This is all I know. This is my town. This is everything I know. I've never been on an airplane in my life. But it wasn't until I went to church one Sunday morning, and the priest knew me since we were kids, you know, catechism and first communion and all that. And I told him the offer the chief made, and it's crazy enough, the priest had been in Vietnam with the chief. He was a chaplain in his unit. And he said, it's really sound advice, Bruce. Go in the Marine Corps. But the good news is there's something about you. You won't come back to Highbridge. There's going to be a greater calling for you in life. Wow. And at that time, I didn't. I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm coming back to Highbridge. This is all I know. But when I got in the Marine Corps, I realized, wow, there's a big world out here. Opened up my eyes. I'm in Paris Island, a horrible place, depicted by the movie Full Metal Jacket. It's just a horrible place. But I went in being a boy and came out a man. And really 3 things I learned there. I didn't know what core values were, but I learned honor, courage, and commitment.
Love that.
And that kind of became the foundation of my life. Even today, I really have to take a look at everything I do. You know, am I going to have the honor to be part of this? And do I have the courage and commitment? And that's kind of what part of my success has been in business is I dive into it. Take pride in ownership, lead by example. So fast forward, you know, I get out of the Marine Corps, and his priest was right. I ended up in California, and I joined LAPD, the most prestigious police department in the world at the time, and started a whole nother journey. Truly the first time I had a why and purpose in my life. And you go back and I thought for the first 19 years, all I did was suck the life out of my parents. And now finally I have a why and purpose. I'm really like giving back to the world. And that was my calling, to be a police officer. But I also quickly learned all the things you learn in the academy, the policies, procedures, rules, regulations. Yes. It was all out the door because it was really about the world's very, very gray. It's not black and white. And it's all about the spirit of the law, not the letter of the law. And I learned so many takeaways on empathy and how to treat people properly. And a lot of people are a paycheck away from a crisis. So a lot of takeaways I learned how to be a better person by being a cop. And while that journey was amazing, and actually my first training officer was brutal. You know, he was a very crotchety older guy, but you emulate people you're around, right?
Absolutely.
I started picking up his bad habits, and and I remember one time I was a little rough on a suspect. Not really for no reason, to be honest with you. He was wanted for a warrant. And a lieutenant pulled me aside and said, Bruce, I know you're working with Bob. I see how you're treating that young man. Just think about this. He's someone's uncle, father, brother, cousin. He goes,
wow.
I want you to understand something. And it really changed. And the lieutenant said, there's something about you, Bruce. You're very kind. People like being around you. He goes, so this is going to define who you are. This moment right here is going to define you for the rest of your life. And it really I made a decision. And when I would encounter suspects, I would think about my older brother who was arrested many times. I thought, I wonder how he was treated when he was arrested. I wonder if they were disrespectful to him. And that's how I really looked at every encounter. And don't get me wrong, there's bad people out there.
Yes.
Bad people.
Everywhere. Yeah.
But then there's a lot of people that just, by circumstance, they got involved with drugs and alcohol. Life happens, right? So while that was a tremendous journey, while this is all going on, I start working off duty. I need to make extra money, right? I wasn't making a lot of money at the time. Cops never really make a lot of money. I started working off duty for a retired sergeant who had a security company, a protection business. And I really took to it. That whole servant leader thing really resonated with me. And I started a bodyguard business. And within a short order, because of the relationships I was establishing,
Yes.
I'm taking care of people like, Arnold, Stallone, Kim, Chloe, Madonna. The list kept going on. And fast forward, 30 years later, I still have some of those same clients.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Wow. What a journey. And then so Quest then happened. And I love how you mentioned something about success at the age of, was it 45, 46?
Oh, when I met them?
Yes.
Yeah, 47.
Which I think is awesome.
Yeah.
I think that is so cool because you had all these experiences in your life. I feel like everything led up to that moment of you truly shining and knowing how to manage people. You mentioned empathy. So tell us, how did you find them? How was that journey? How did it start?
I'm in the height of success with the bodyguard business, doing quite well, making, 8 times what I am as a police officer. And I serendipitously meet Shannon Penna, who goes by Quest Creator in the gym. And her husband, Ron, worked out there too. And we became, gym acquaintances. You see people. And a few weeks into meeting them, she gave me a couple protein bars one day. And I remember I tried them at some point, and I saw her, weeks later. And I said, those bars were amazing. The taste, the texture, and the ingredients, everything was amazing. Because I grew up
They are amazing.
protein bars, and, they used to not be so good. And it was something about her energy, to be honest with you. And as I go back to it, I like bringing value to people. I thought to myself, what can I do for them? And I had a light bulb moment where I said, I'm doing security at this private golf tournament, at a golf tournament with a bunch of celebrities. My friend's doing the publicity.
Yes.
If you get me some product, maybe I can get it into people's hands. I can't personally because I'm doing security, right? So
Yes.
I can't really, it would be weird. So Shannon dropped off some bars at my house, get them in some people's hands, and that started our relationship. So my friend Cheryl sends me some pictures. There's no social media at the time. Facebook just started. I remember showing Shannon some of the pictures, and they're like, wow, how do you know these people? Like, oh my God, that's amazing. Got celebrities eating them. I just started helping. Every time I saw an opportunity, I got on a set of Extra with Mario Lopez.
Love that.
And after about 9 months, I remember I went to visit their office, which was in the hood, in the ghetto. Strip industrial park, graffiti on the walls, broken down cars. And I thought there's no sign of success with these people. By just a visual outward appearance, I thought they're not going to be in business, right?
Wow.
It wasn't until I started going inside and seeing the excitement that they're making these bars by hand, they're having challenges, equipment breaking down. It really became this passion play for me. And Ron at the time, after I think 9 months of helping them, said, we're stealing from you, Bruce. That's the words he used. And I kind of laughed. He said, you're bringing us all this value. We're doing nothing in return. And I said, I get free protein bars.
Yes.
And he laughed.
very
And in my mind, I swear to God, I think I got a good deal.
Yes.
I'm thinking I'm doing okay. I'm getting free protein bars because I have my own business, right? I don't really it's money. Money doesn't mean a lot to me. It's like, man, it facilitates things. So he said, no, Friday, we're going to start putting on the payroll. And it was like an average American salary, if you will. And something kicked in. The minute I got that check, I went back to when I was a young teenager working for my dad, how important that money was. And that I remember making that money as a teenager and okay, now I could do things and facilitate things. And so it started changing my thinking, and they became my why and purpose. Now I never verbally told them that, but all of a sudden it was like, wow, what can I do to help grow this brand now? And something happened. It's almost hard to describe, but people started writing us saying, I've got diabetes and I can eat your product. My blood sugar doesn't spike.
Wow.
I've got celiac disease and it's gluten-free. So I didn't even know what celiac was when I first heard it. I've lost 30 pounds over the last 4 months at Quest. And people were saying, you saved our lives. You've transformed my life.
Amazing.
And I remember this. I tell people this, that are on this journey to make $1 million brands or even $1 billion brands. You need 1,000 screaming fans. And I say it just like this. If people like you, they're going to listen. If they trust you, they're going to buy. But if you transform their lives, They're going to go to the highest mountaintops and scream your name. And that's exactly what happened at Quest. People started screaming our name, saying, oh my God, you changed my life. And we went from being a protein bar company, I believe, to be a mission-based company.
That is brilliant.
And honestly, it became the greatest why of my life because I fell in love with what the process was. And no exaggeration, I would travel 40 weekends a year. 40 weekends a year. The only weekends I didn't travel at the time, a girlfriend made me go to a wedding I didn't want to go to. And the holidays. I mean, obviously at holidays, I'd be like, hey, can't I visit you on Christmas? And no, we're shut down. So, but I truly did anything and everything. When I say anything and everything, and I want people to understand this that are that are entrepreneurs, or even I was an intrapreneur. I call it intrapreneur inside of an entrepreneur's business. I did anything the company needed, building out the events program, the ambassador program. But even one time, you know, as we're sitting in this beautiful studio, I think about that. It was right before a holiday weekend, and we used to shut down for like 15 days between Christmas and after New Year's. And they said, this would be kind of cool to make this warehouse space a studio for guests, for VIPs. So over that holiday, after we shut down, I hired a handyman, painted everything our color blue, got a big screen TV, got furniture, carpet. And I remember when they came back in from the holiday weekend, I was traveling, I was at an event somewhere, and the first thing they said, Bruce must have come here over the holidays. No one said, who did this? Like, did Willy Wonka come in here? No one said that. They said, Bruce must have come in here. And I'm not saying I'm saying that to brag. I'm saying is, but what I did was anything the company needed. I try and emphasize this to employees. Have pride and ownership. I didn't have ownership.
Great advice.
But I heard someone needed something and I took them. And now other companies would have 6 months. Well, let me check with HR. Let me check with the accounting. Can we have the budget? I just paid for it with my own credit card. I didn't even think, I wonder if they're going to pay me back. They did, but I didn't even think about it. And that's what's I think that's what's very shortcoming in everybody today. No one wants to take that risk to get the reward.
I totally agree with that.
And so that journey was truly one of the most phenomenal rides. And after 7 years, I became the chief communications officer. And I kind of say this tongue in cheek, I was the least qualified person. If I walked in off the streets with a resume at that age, hey, I want to work, who are you? But because of the value I brought them, I'm running relationships. I'm traveling the world. I'm connecting with all our partners and all the relationships we had is based on it was on me because no one else had interest in doing it. So thank God. I mean, and I had the good fortune of visiting for a day Tony Hsieh. He wrote a book called Delivering Happiness. He started Zappos.
Yes.
I spent the day with him in Las Vegas, and I remember one of the main takeaways with him. He was an interesting guy, a little different, but he said, people love to do business with people they like.
Absolutely.
And what I found as we grew, not everyone liked our team, I found out. They loved our product. They loved our product. But because we didn't have a lot of great people with skills to, like some of the salespeople and marketing people, they were strictly like, hey, buy our product, order our product. It was very mechanical. I would have people say at times, Bruce, we love your brand, but you're a necessary evil. And when someone first said that, I said, what does that mean? He goes, well, we love your product. It sells in our stores. I have to have it. But your sales, like they treat me horribly. And I would go back. And the problem was when you're a one-man show, if you will, messaging that, not everyone wants to hear that.
Yes.
Oh, wait. What's it really matter, Bruce? We're doing $400 million this year. Yeah, but there's some people don't like us. Anyway, that was a big takeaway. I think a lot of companies, a lot of people internally, they drink their own Kool-Aid. They think everyone loves us. How could they not love us? They buy our product, but that doesn't mean they like you.
Absolutely.
And that's a defining moment. And Tony taught me that, people do business with people they like.
Absolutely.
And we took a dip. We changed our formula for justifiable reasons, but we took a hit both financially and in the public. People going, oh, you guys cheapened your product. And it wasn't the case, but we changed it for reasons to be accurate on our labeling. But the minute we took that fall, people were replacing us on their shelves. Huh. They didn't think about it because we didn't have relationships with some of those people. Follow?
Wow.
Yeah, so.
Yes. So relationships, and I think you mentioned empathy, which is so important. 3 things you've actually mentioned, which I think is very important for our viewers, because you're right. People these days, I mean, it's all, I'm the secretary. I'm not going to reach the extra mile, or I'm not going to do this. But the value that you will actually get when you are putting that into a company or putting it into a brand, like claiming it as your own. It's interesting because when I was working for all the big advertising agencies, I acted like it was my own company. So I resonate with you completely. But there was something that when we were speaking outside of the podcast. Hey guys, so if you are enjoying this episode, if you have gotten value from this episode and it has changed your life by teaching you things, I'm going to ask you a huge favor. If you would subscribe, like, follow, and share with people so we can bring more incredible guests to the $1 Million Branders podcast to serve you better, so you can make more money in your business, in your life, and accelerate your growth into becoming the $1 Million brand that I know is possible for you. Thank you, and my greatest appreciation to you. You said to me, you're only as good as the last recipe that you have. So can you elaborate on that?
It's no different than saying you're only as good as the last sale you have, right?
Yes.
You can't rest on your laurels. Great, we sold $1 million last month. What have you done today?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's interesting. So you just said something. I just forgot what you said, but oh gosh. Taking over. But even the secretary. So it even reminds me today with Ron, who we've since sold Quest, and I'll tell you that real quick. It was like 7 years into the journey, and Atkins Nutrition acquired us for $1 billion cash, which is a unicorn in business.
Absolutely.
Very rare.
Yeah.
There's only been 1,100 billion-dollar brands in the world, and very few. When they sell, it's usually stocks and options. And
yes,
this was strictly a cash deal. But the cool thing was we sold Quest and started Legendary the next day.
Yes. Wow.
Internally we call Legendary Quest 2.0. We learned
literally legendary.
We learned all these mistakes at Quest. But my point is, when I go back to having pride and ownership, there's times, and we have a very small office in Santa Monica. Ron, who's ridiculously wealthy, does not need to come in the office, but he comes in. I will see him sometimes emptying a trash can, and it's appalling to me because I'm thinking, God, he's the owner, but he's the owner. He's not beneath him to empty the trash can, but yet I will see other people that walk by the trash can, it's overflowing, don't even think about it. So it goes back to this. It's like you said, the secretary, do more. Who cares? Do more than you. People preach on culture, right? And I say that there's no culture is like, it's a mythical thing, right? I've had literally CEOs say, oh, I have an amazing culture. I said, well, why do you say that? Well, I built a break room for our employees, and I have snacks for them. And I put in some gaming machines. I said, but how do they feel as people? I don't talk to them. I say this, and at some point, obviously you can only manage so many names. I think if you have 100 employees or less, you should know every single person's full name.
I think that's excellent.
And there's many CEOs I talk to that I say, when's the last time you actually went out and just sat in the cubicle, sat in the common area with your tech guys or with your customer service and find out what they're doing this weekend? And he goes, oh, well, I don't have time. I go, do you not have time? Do you? While you sit in your office on whatever you're doing? I said,
yes.
You're better to make time being out there with your people. That's what builds the culture, because if you have a true culture, people don't want to go home. Definitely. You will have people all of a sudden, oh my gosh, 7 o'clock, I didn't realize how late it is.
Yes.
Because they're enjoying it, and you order food for them. That's what creates a culture. It's almost culture's in the air. It's not because you have a pretty building. You can have just a rundown warehouse, but if internally inside that warehouse, magic's happening and people are appreciated,
they're not going to want to leave.
Yeah, and I think the number one complaint about employees is if they're not appreciated or heard. There are people that will take less money as long as they're heard and appreciated.
It's very, very important.
So true.
And also empathetic. You want people to grow that you're with. But I think the one thing that we have in common that I love is we spoke about making more deposits than withdrawals. And I really want to speak about that because I think that's really important. We're living in an instant gratification culture where people are about what can I get. So I want to speak about your values and how you view that for everyone listening, because I think that's really important, not just in business, but in life.
Yeah. And I don't know where I want to, there's that saying, don't ever come empty handed. You ever heard that? Like if you go to someone's house or at a party.
Yes.
I do the same thing in business. There's never a time, and Andy could attest that, I show up, I'm bringing product. I just leave it. I hope people will enjoy it. I've never gone to a meeting where I don't bring product. I want to say that came from my parents, but I don't know if it did.
Yes.
But I like bringing value to people. I like making deposits, because here's the thing. The more deposits you make for people, and I don't mean financially, it could be, you could direct someone to a deal or recommend someone. I feel the more deposits you make, you're bringing not only value, but then on the off chance you ever do need anything, it's it's much more comfortable. It's a reciprocal relationship. To me, it's nothing more uncomfortable. I use this word, as we all know, or men should know, women's love languages, right? I use the same as business languages. Make deposits, show appreciation, bring value. Because then when you need something from that partner or that business person or whatever they are, it's going to be much more comfortable. Because then when I get hit up all the time, hey, give me this, get me that, introduce me to that. Can you get me on Andy's show? it's a drain. It's a suck. It sucks the life out of you. Instead of someone saying, hey, what can I do to bring you value? It's just, it's always, but to me, it's always been a reciprocal relationship. And I usually always make more deposits. I don't keep track. I didn't even think about it, but it's crazy. I literally, just the other day, I got a text from a guy I met 6 years ago. He said, Bruce, it's been a while. And I look back, I said, oh my God, it's been since 2019. I haven't heard from this guy. He goes, I've thought about you often. He goes, I'm in a position now. I'd like to do something. I think I could help you with something. And it turns out
That's
he
amazing.
might help me get a speaking gig at a pretty high level.
Yes.
But at the time, we were just friends, and I helped him with some business. So
I'm going to remember you.
Yeah.
Remember this for a very long time.
yeah, when you're billion-dollar brands, no,
There you
it's
go.
so true. I think
That's
people
what it's
live
about.
we live in an instant gratification world.
Absolutely.
Some things take time to manifest, to grow, to develop. But that's the problem. I think a lot of people don't have that patience.
They don't. And that's why, I truly appreciate everyone who gives me time. I always say, I've got the saying, I never forget who helped me on the way up. And you want people in your life who help you, not just when you're in, good times. You got to have bad times. It's very rare to find real people.
Yeah.
But I think also branding today has changed because, as you said, there was no social media when you were busy doing all your stuff. I think it was much harder to actually make it then. So I want to tap into that because today it's different. We have access to social media. What do you think it takes in today's times? I mean, Legendary it's literally legendary. It's such a great product. But in today's times, building $1 billion brand or $1 million brand, preferably billion
Or
in this case.
$1,000 brand.
Yes. What does it actually take?
So it's very easy. To me, this, as I think I'd already said, it meant the 1,000 Screaming fans, to have those 1,000 Screaming fans. If you have a consumable item or even a wearable, you have got to get product in people's hands. What we found at Legendary, we spend almost no money on marketing. We have social media, sure, and whatever things you have to do, giveaways, but our marketing budget is minuscule compared to what it was at Quest. And actually at Quest, at the height of our success, and we had that formulation change I told you about,
Yes.
we kept spending money on marketing trying to fix a problem. You can't fix a product problem. And at Legendary, all we do is you get product in people's hands, they try it, and they're either going to like it or they don't. Now, fortunate for us, people like it. They tell 10 friends or they reorder it. That's the key to any success in a business. You can do all the search engine optimizations and there's terms like KPIs and ROIs. I always make fun. I don't remember what they stand for. And I know, but I literally almost tongue in cheek because you'll get a marketing person. What's the KPI on that? I don't know, but how many people are enjoying your product? To me, a prime example, someone we met at the Fitness Expo a few years ago. We had a Legendary booth and we were selling, and it's pretty good. For just a Fitness Expo, we sold like $35,000 worth of product just from people.
Only? Kidding.
Huh? Yeah.
I said only?
But at a Fitness
No,
Expo.
I'm kidding.
These are just fitness people come, hey, I'll take a box. And the guy next to us had this cookie company. And I started talking to him and I said, tell me about your story. He goes, I have this recipe. We made it. We manufacture it. I said, but how many people have tried it? How many people do you get it in hands? Well, I didn't need to. But the point is he was sampling it and no one bought. And at the end of the expo, he blamed the expo for poor marketing of the expo, but real in fact, he had a subpar product and he wasn't getting it in people's hands and they weren't enjoying it, so they weren't ordering. The key to everything, and I'm saying more consumable. It's kind of hard to say with other things, but consumable, people need to try it.
Absolutely.
They're going to order it or they're going to tell 10 friends. That's really as simple as that. You could spend all the money you want on marketing. And by the way, spend millions on marketing. At the end of the day, if people try your product and they don't like it, they're not reordering.
100%. What about a service-based industry? What do you actually look for when you're doing work with someone? So whether it's a everyone these days has a marketing agency.
Everybody. Everyone's an influencer marketer.
Totally. What do you look for? What stands out for you in terms of attitude of a person that you want to do business with long time? What are the key attributes that you look for?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, bringing value. I tell people, lead with value. You don't know how many messages I get. Hey, I could do this for you. I could do that for you. And then right away, here's the price. It's whatever, $10,000 a month. The few people that we've worked with that have done really well with us have brought value to us. And now, like we have a packaging guy, right? That does our packaging. Sean's been with us since early on, but he came and pursued us. He found us when we were in the ghetto at Quest. He brought value. He kept showing up, and we're like, we can't really afford you. We don't know if we can. He kept bringing value. I think the first run he actually made the film for free, but he engraced himself with us to the point where like, how can we not do business with this guy?
Yes.
Instead of coming saying, hey, here's my pricing and hire me. Marketing agency, PR agency, bring value. Hey, I see you have this great brand. I'd love to let us show you what my agency can do. I represent The Rock. And
I feel like you're pulling words out of my mouth because like it's a conversation we had.
Yeah, I represent
that's right.
somebody. I'd love to get some of your product to them. Don't worry about it. We'll just do this gratis, or hey, we're doing this cool red carpet event for kids and we'd like you to be there. Don't worry, we normally get this much money. Bring some value to show what your agency or your firm can do with somebody before you're just like, here's my prices. Because they're all the same.
Yes, exactly.
Every marketing company is
true.
identical.
Yes. That's how it's attitude. Attitude is
attitude. And then obviously, listen, results. Behind the scenes, people know how the, algorithms will work and things like that. But at the end, they bring value. Because you're all, everyone's the same in that, everyone.
Yes. Bruce.
Except you.
I know, totally different.
Brands.
What is, I'm going to say, in your case, $1 billion brand?
Yeah. What about it?
For my last question to you, what is $1 billion brand to you, or $1 million brand?
I don't think it has anything to do with the success of the numbers. It's the success of your customers. And this is not something I created. Jeff Bezos says it best. Be obsessed with your customers and not your competition.
So good.
More people worry about their competition than their customers. If everyone's solely focused on their customers, they would be $1 million man or $1 billion brand. I think, listen, it doesn't matter where you are economically, because there's different levels of comfort, right? There's people that do $100,000 a year.
Yes.
And they have the best lives ever. I know billionaires that are miserable. So it doesn't, the number of the brand is not important, other than maybe the public sees it bigger.
Yes. You just got to work to be legendary.
You got to work to be legendary. And like I said, and obsessed is an okay word.
Yes.
I
think so.
I think it's okay to be obsessed with your customer experience.
It's definitely, I have this thing where I believe how you do one thing is how you do everything.
100%. Oh, you took that. You read my book. No. So my point is, there's certain brands that I could think of that I've experienced. I've visited like Reebok headquarters, amazing culture. First Form, which is pretty much an unknown nutrition over there in St. Louis, amazing culture. As a matter of fact, when you order from some of these brands, there are handwritten notes. I'm not talking about like ink. Someone hand wrote it in the warehouse saying, hey, I got one saying, hey, and they must have looked at my Instagram because they said, oh, it looked like you had a good time at that event. And when I read it, I was like, oh my God, this person knows me.
Yes.
But now I became a lifetime customer.
Yes.
Because of that. Very few brands do that.
Totally.
Yeah.
And I just want to firstly thank you so much for your time today. It's been so amazing and wonderful getting some insight from someone with your level of success. But as you said, success is defined differently for everyone. And money does magnify who you are, but it's not about that. And for all the listeners out there, you just have the best heart. I'm so grateful for your time while I've been in LA. And I know, like, literally 5 years, I'm going to call you. I'm going to be like, Bruce, I've got this thing.
Yeah, but the good news is in 5 years, you'll be living here. You're going to be up in Brentwood. Andy and I, you'll have
in the studio.
Yeah, you'll have your studio.
Exactly. But you're such an honorable person. And thank you so much for your time, Bruce. And I wish you nothing but success in the coming years. I can't wait to see what you do. Legendary is a legendary brand. But for people out there, how do they follow you, your journey? I know you have a book coming out.
I have the book.
I'm so
I just did a recording yesterday. It's painful, but it's supposed to be done in September. I hope it will be. But yeah, the way to find me is, I guess, on Instagram, Bruce E. Cardenas.
Yes, I'm going to post the links anyway.
Oh, you will. I appreciate it.
Yes. So I'm
glad I knew you before you become bigger than $1 million brand. So that's why I'm happy we're meeting now.
So exciting. Yeah. I'm very grateful. Thank you so much, Bruce. It's been an honor and a privilege.
I appreciate it.